traveler that relates to my topic, but that's another topic, and he's very clear, 25 minutes max. So I'll just get right on with it. So 2024, tomorrow. Who thinks it might be a volatile year? So all the more reason to take in whatever resonates with you of what I'm going to say today and use it. Fits with fifth unity principle. Use it, use it, use it. So I'm here to share ideas with you on healing yourself, your body, your mind, your emotions, your friends and loved ones, and our planet by using visioning. Vision there doesn't mean just what you see with your eyes, but all five senses, like imaging and imagination, all five senses. So smelling, tasting, hearing, seeing, and touching, sensation, tactile. So how can that apply to helping our bodies? Well, some interesting research has been done. Some patients with irritable bowel syndrome were taught to visualize their digestive tract as a smooth, gently flowing river. Calm their symptoms, with meditation and relaxation also, of course. But that's a visual image they could use. Other patients who were kidney transplant patients, often the body rejects the organs, so they have to give them immune suppressing medicine, but that can be really hard on the body, have a lot of side effects, also cause inflammation. So what they experimented with was pairing drinking lemon water, which had a sharp taste, and lavender, a distinct smell, with taking the immune suppressing medication, and the body, by regular Pavlovian classic conditioning, learned to associate that taste, that smell, with that effect. And so the body learned to produce those effects, immune suppression, with less and less of the medication, to where just a little bit of the medication would work. And lemon water doesn't have negative side effects for most people, neither does lavender. So they could do without the side effects, and their bodies could accept the organs and heal much faster. Burn patients, there's not much you can do because the body's so inflamed. There's not much you can give people that won't make it worse. But what you can do, they taught people to use hypnosis and imagine themselves living and walking through snowy worlds. Or like when I learned, it was, we had people imagine just laying in a snowbank, Or if you can do this yourself with minor pains. You learn to take ice cubes that you've got. You memorize the sensation of your hand being cold and then going numb. And you can learn to transfer that numbness wherever you need it in your body. Now, of course, it does take practice. It's like the fifth principle. You got to use it and practice it. But our bodies are wonderful companions. You will never have a more intimate relationship in your life than you have with your body. So it really pays to become really good friends with your body so you can pick up what it tries to tell you, which is a whole nother fascinating topic I don't have time to go into, but that you can also give your body messages through tactile, auditory, visual, taste images that you hold for it, that are often metaphors. Metaphors work partly because they're the realm of the right brain, the picture brain, and that developed in species long before the left brain, the language brain. So the first and most primitive sense is smell, and then taste, because we had to eat, as tiny little organisms. The other senses evolved later. So that it's powerful to harness our senses in healing ourselves. I know for myself, I have a kind of a reactive body, as my husband well knows. And I had a lot of trouble in younger years with bronchial asthma, with allergies, with inflammations, skin rashes, and medications generally made it all worse for me. So I had to learn. For asthma, I visualized tubes getting larger until I could breathe. Or with allergies, I would often have uh, really irritated eyes, all red and puffy and shut. There were no drops that didn't make it worse. What helped was splashing cool water. You can only do that so long without drying out your skin. So you just learn to memorize the sensations and then reproduce the sensations. Helps your body to calm. So we know that the body puts out many biochemicals, neurotransmitters that govern our ability to think clearly and our moods, immune cells to keep us well and safe, digestive enzymes to digest our food, endorphins, natural painkillers. We can enhance any of those by pairing them for ourselves with images that are metaphors that work for us. So it's good to come to know what your body would respond to, smells and tastes, using essential oils. I mean, there's value in the oil itself, but using it to train your body to do what you want it to do is very useful. To produce more endorphins if you're somebody who's dealing with pain, or to produce more neurotransmitters to elevate moods. Okay, I like to teach all my clients a simple exercise from Thich Nhat Hanh. Whatever it is that quality that you think would be beneficial to you, you imagine something that has that quality, and then you breathe it in and out. So for example, what if you're feeling, let's say, anxious and wired, and you think, oh, it would be better to be more grounded? Well, what's more grounding than gravity? So you might visualize heaviness and feeling pulled down into the earth, and breathe in that image. I breathe in gravity, I breathe out grounding. It's a simple practice, but doing it over and over for whatever it is, quality that you think would be useful to you. Maybe you're tired, but you have some things you've got to get done, so you need some energy. Well, I don't know about you, but I can't hear polka music without moving. So I breathe in the sound. Now instead of a tactile image, it's an auditory image. I breathe in the polka music. I breathe out energy. I breathe it in. The more I listen, the more I have to get up and do whatever it is I need to do. See? So you can learn to use the wonderful gifts of your inner remote. You don't like the station on the TV, click the remote, change channels. You can do that for yourself, for your body. Change channels and play with this for yourself to sense which channel, maybe auditory, maybe, like I said, the most primitive, powerful senses are taste and smell, and to find images that work for what you need them to. So that simple Thich Nhat Hanh exercise. You probably have all heard of the Menninger Clinic. For many years, Elmer Green was the director of the Menninger Clinic, and he wrote a book, Beyond Biofeedback, about his research with yogis that he tested, that they could, you could put a nail right through them, and then it could say, okay, stop the bleeding, and they'd just stop the bleeding. They could even separate cells to allow a needle to go in. Well, that was years of practice, but it shows us that it's possible. And he recounts, Elmer Green recounts an episode where he was doing yard work and had an accident, tore up his shoulder, tore muscles, it was kind of a mess. But that night he woke up and he recognized that he was in a theta dominant brainwave state. Now, part of biofeedback training is they would train people to change brainwave states from our usual energized beta 14 to 40 cycles per second down at least into alpha, which is 7 to 13 cycles per second. Below that is theta, 4 to 7, and that's where you have the most access to directly heal your body. But it takes a lot of practice to be able to generate theta dominant brainwave states. Practice and meditation and others. But we all are in those states naturally when we sleep. So he woke up and he recognized from the stillness in his body and other signs that he was in that theta dominant state. So he visualized his shoulder all repairing the way it needed to. He woke up in the morning and it was fine. How many people are familiar with the work of Joe Dispenza? Are you all familiar with Joe? A lot of people are, but many people aren't. Very worth checking out on YouTube, Joe Dispenza. His life calling, he was going to be a chiropractor, and then he had a massive cycling accident that kind of fractured and compressed 6 vertebrae. Doctors told him, you'll probably never walk again, and suggested radical spinal surgery. He said, nope. He checked himself out of the hospital, went home, and focused on just healing. Not bemoaning what had happened, not worry about the future, just focused on healing day and night. And if you're doing something a lot during the day, you find it will carry over into your sleep. You'll keep working on it when you're asleep. So that meant he worked on it in theta too. And in 6 months, he walked normally. So he wrote various books, Evolve Your Brain, You Are the Placebo, and Becoming Supernatural. So his stuff is worth checking out on YouTube and applying. In case you think that your genes control your health and well-being, now we know they don't. There was the work of cell biologist Bruce Lipton, who wrote The Biology of Belief, explored and discovered that no, genes aren't automatic. They turn on or turn off according to signals from the environment. Those signals from the environment in your bloodstream are governed by the chemicals that your brain puts in, causes to arrive in your bloodstream according to how you look at things and how you feel. See, so you actually have influence over your genes, not the other way around. I did some study under a local, internationally established psychobiologist and hypnotherapist, Ernest Rossi, who did research with before and after blood samples, before and after hypnotherapy, and they were especially targeting in the lab and looked for gene markers and changes in gene markers. So there was real clinical evidence that you can change your gene expression. So, and of course, hopefully you're all familiar with heart math. Another wonderful, simple exercise. Use it. It's simply breathing a little deeper and recalling with as many senses as possible. A heart-lifting experience could be listening to children laughing, playing, could be a beautiful flower. But if you can incorporate at least 2 senses, let's say it's a flower. Okay, so there's a visual and maybe a scent to it. And but I don't remember any scent, well, get a flower you like and really focus and memorize the scent of it. And then put it away until you can repeat that scent for yourself. You're training yourself to use at least 2 senses that way, the visual and the olfactory. So that becomes very, very useful. If you're not too familiar with heart math, they've done not just how to help yourself be in a much healthier state and make better choices, but they've also done research seeing how heart math exercise can affect the people around the person. For example, there's a heart math practitioner who lived in a building, and after that practitioner moved in and practiced every day, the level of the noise level in that building and reports to the police and complaints and irritability went down. See, because you're setting up a resonant field that, my topic is, you help yourself heal, you help others. And we know that you go in a room, if somebody's really angry, you can wind up feeling jangled, but if they're really happy and upbeat, you find yourself feeling better. Well, we know that we affect one another. You might be familiar if you watched What's the Bleep with the work of Masaru Emoto, who used his electron microscope to take pictures of water molecules that produced beautiful snowflake images if the person with the water was feeling happy feelings, joyful, loving feelings. But if they were feeling real depressed or angry, those molecules looked all jagged surfaces without any symmetry. Well, and that was great stuff. Now there's this lady I was just watching yesterday and the day before for updates to this. Her name is Veda Austin. She's from New Zealand. And on YouTube, she has a slideshow that she calls The Living Water, the Living Language of Life. Well, she doesn't need a fancy electron microscope, a simple cell phone camera. And so she plays with the water, and she'll hold an image and take a picture of the water with her cell phone and see there's a pattern discernible in the water. She has the photos that are on there. For example, she would think of the song Stairway to Heaven, and in the water pattern you could see stairs. So it's great stuff. Check it out. Veda Austin. You may know of Cleve Baxter, who maybe you don't know the name, but he developed the lie detector. And the lie detector works by galvanic skin response. It's testing that surface property of your skin. So in his lab, he also hooked up his lie detector equipment to plants in his lab. And he found that when he was, happy, right on task, the equivalent, it's not exactly galvanic skin response in the plants, but there's a sort of equivalent, and the equivalent was very smart, smooth, and harmonious. When he was feeling stressed out over some problem, the plants registered those jagged, responses. And then one day he found that his equipment was going nuts. What happened to the plants? So he thought, and he realized he had just been cleaning his lab, and he had finished with an experiment on brine shrimp and thrown them down the drain. The plants freaked out because we all affect one another. So it was a great lesson. That's in Peter Tompkins' book, The Secret Life of Plants. Okay, you may or may not have heard of a Qigong hospital in China. Unfortunately, the government shut it down because they didn't want any other potential sources of power. But it was like 500 kilometers south of Beijing, and it was called the Medicineless Hospital. And it's just a place of Qigong practitioners and hundreds of patients, and together practicing Qigong, building a Qi field. And in that field, people would heal from diabetes, from heart disease, from all kinds of things. And there's a great video, you can find this on YouTube, of some Qigong masters who are focusing on a bladder tumor a lady has, and you see it on the film, and you see them sending energy. It's about 2.5 minutes, and you see it just dissolve. And it's not that they're killing the cancer, it's that they're energizing the body to heal itself, to come back into balance. So that's an extension of a tactile energy. At the beginning, you don't know what you don't necessarily feel qi, but you can train yourself to feel it. So qigong is really a useful thing in itself, plus to understand it as a tactile sender. Lots of great studies that show we can affect one another. Couples, one might have cancer, the other doesn't. These were experiments done at IONS, Institute of Noetic Sciences. Hook people up, have a sender of just at randomly chosen times look at an image on a screen, send, and their partner in the other room receive. And so they could learn to send a state of brain waves conducive to healing and help and train the partner's brain waves, which of course are harder to do if you're the cancer victim, or the cancer experiencer, maybe not victim. So there's lots of studies that show that people can affect one another's brain state, emotional state, well-being. And of course, Unity people know about the power of 8. So, and how can we use this to help our planet then? Well, we know that remote viewing is real. That's seeing at a distance, because the Army trained people to use it. And of course, they'd rather depend first on their fancy, sophisticated spy satellites, but if things are hidden, they still depend on remote viewing, even though they deny that now. But there's a great movie that's both lighthearted and funny and also serious about the Army's training program for its remote viewers, and it's called Men Who Stare at Goats. You can check it out. When I saw it, I think it was on Netflix. So we know that you can pick up from a distance. If you know what a shop vac is, you flip the switch one way, it vacuums up, you flip the switch the other way and it blows out. Okay, so whatever we can receive in, part of changing channels is if we are sending out, we're not receiving in. So if you find yourself disturbed at news, for example, I always suggest that people titrate the amount and kind of news you take in. If images are disturbing to you, just read about what happens. You don't want to shut off no understanding of the world, but you can be aware of your own sensory systems and what you can work best with. So if you are sending, you are not receiving. It's the shop vac principle. So we know that you can remote view, so you can also send to a distant place. And I would love to explain how to send using archetypal images. That's in my book, but I don't have time to do it all. So let me just kind of skip to, cut to the chase on a few of those and suggest some archetypal images that you can use. Of course, you can always send light anywhere in the world. It's more empowering, I think, if you use the archetypal image that's been used millions of times, and that is a lit candle. And if you spend a little time with a lit candle, you get a visual of it, but you can also, if you play with it, realize it is putting out a little warmth. That's tactile. And if you train yourself, and you might want to use a scented candle to help train yourself, even without a scent, a candle has a scent because something's burning. So the more of your sensory system you use, the stronger the focus that you're sending. And Jung did a lot of work with the power of archetypal energies, patterns of energy, and certainly that flame of a candle is one of those in many cultures. So you can use that to direct sending. I'm going to give you a formula at the end for doing it, but I'm just looking at some images now. 2 places that call to most of us in the world now are Ukraine and Israel, Palestine. So, in Ukraine, there's, I think the perfect archetypal image to use is the flag of Ukraine, the blue sky, the yellow fields. It's such a powerful image, and the Russians know this, that they will arrest people just for having a blue and yellow appear in a photo on their social media or for wearing one. They know the power of the archetypal image. So that's a way to send courage or comfort to receptive Ukrainians. You are doing two things. You're helping the field of energy, but also people who are receptive receive that in, and then that helps them to help the others around them. In Israel, you wouldn't want to necessarily send a flag because, that's like one side rather than another. But if you look at the colors that are important, and colors can be archetypal carrier waves also. In Islam, that's blue, green, and white. And for the Israelis, blue and white. So if you picture a blue sky with peaceful, fluffy white clouds, that's an image to use. And then a formula for how to send energy, because I wrote this book after 9/11. It took me 10 years to write it, but because there were so many clients who came in who were distressed by the world news of 9/11 at the time and couldn't sleep. So that's why I came up with all this. So a formula in an acronym, LEAVE, like this is bad grammar, but good thinking, leave it be, or like the Beatles, let it be. So LEAVE. So the L then is to let go of all judgments about who did what, who's wrong, who's right. We're all God's children. We're all learning at our own pace. Everybody is actually doing the best they know how to do. That's a whole nother topic, but they actually are. So to let go of all judgments and to let go of what you think the desired outcome should be. See, to have a general intention for it, like the highest good or the best possible outcome. But we don't know exactly what that looks like. So L for let it be, or let go of judgment. E for empathy, empathy for all, because everybody's doing the best they can. Heart math is a good way to cultivate empathy for anyone. And then A, affirmation. You're familiar with affirmation. So you state a positive simple positive statement like, may the highest good unfold. And then V for visualizing, which can mean any of the senses, preferably at least 2 senses. And E for energize your vision. That means breathe it, meditate on it, and intend, send the energy. Qigong practice helps energize that. So when you want to send healing that helps you as well as the planet, you let go of judgments, have a feeling of empathy for everyone involved, affirm the highest good, visualize maybe the blue sky, yellow fields of grain, or the blue sky, white clouds. Energize that vision with breathing, meditating, sending energy. Okay, so I hope that you will practice some of that because it helps you have your best experiences in an interesting 2024, helps your friends and family, and helps the planet. Thank you.